What's up, Rad Dads, and welcome back to another episode of the Rad Dads podcast, hosted by the two raddest dads on the East Coast. Unfortunately, Rob can't join us tonight because he is sick, but we do have a special guest on, Jordan Toma. Jordan Toma is a motivational speaker, financial advisor, real estate investor, and the author of the book, I Am Just a Kid with an IEP. However, he was not always confident in his skills as he struggled with learning disability the first 18 years of his life. Jordan felt his disability placed a label of, you're not as smart as everyone else, you can't do this. The idea and sense of failure carried into almost everything he did. After graduating in 2008, he was accepted into a life-changing program called STEP. It was because of the STEP program and his determination that he graduated college in a National Honor Society, Delta Alpha Pi. Jordan, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm pumped up. I'm excited. We talked a little bit before, but and it's cool that you're from Jersey. I like doing podcasts with Jersey guys.
Awesome. So can you tell a little bit more about yourself? Some stuff I didn't cover.
Yeah. So sixth grade was really kind of the first time I really started to notice, I was struggling in school. And I remember because I was asked to read out loud. I remember the first time I was asked to read out loud, I just couldn't read like everyone else. And I would sit there and I'd stumble over words. Everyone would correct me. I would start sweating and I wouldn't be able to finish the sentences. And it was just happened over and over and over again. But I really didn't understand what was going on. And then sixth grade, I started to, kind of worry about the way other people saw me. I started to worry about, the way that I felt in the classroom. And right off the bat, I just got stuck with terrible anxiety. But when you're young, you don't really know kind of what your anxiety is really stemming from. I couldn't really figure it out, but I just had this terrible anxiety. To see the school bus, I would sit there with my dad and I have a twin brother, and then I have a sister who's 16 months younger than us. So it's my twin brother and my sister. We'd all be on the same bus, and I would sit there, and every time I would see that school bus, they would jump out of the car and go to the bus, and my heart would just start beating out of my chest, and I would just start to cry, and I would hold on to the seat. And my dad would yell at me, tell me, Jordan, you got to go to school. And I just couldn't go, and he was yelling, you got to go to school. I just couldn't go, get my breath together, calm down a little bit, just because the bus was going away. My anxiety would subside. So it was, it started there. And then, my whole life I struggled. I struggled with everything. I struggled at school. I struggled with my confidence, my self-belief, but it all stemmed from how I felt in the classroom. It all stemmed from those moments, from not being a good reader, from just not feeling like everyone else in the classroom. And I always wanted to feel like a normal kid, and I just couldn't find my way like in the classroom. I was always in different classrooms, and my whole life was just a complete struggle. I failed out of I don't know if you have New Jersey guys listening, I actually went to Seton Hall Prep. I don't know if you know about Seton Hall Prep. It's a school.
Oh wow, yeah.
And I failed out of Seton Hall Prep.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah, my freshman year. So yeah, that was a tough moment. I failed out of there. My dad went there, so my dad wanted me to. I had a rough time. There wasn't that much support there. I was kind of just lost, and that was kind of like the icing on the cake. I'm like, I just kept failing everything. When I failed out of that school, I had to go back to public school. When I went back to public school, I literally just gave up on my life at that point.
Oh wow, that's that is tough, man. That is absolutely tough. So your book, I'm Just a Kid with an IEP. What is an IEP?
So if a teacher or you are as a parent, right, if you see your son or your daughter that is struggling in school, maybe a teacher doesn't bring it to your attention. If you see it, you need to get your son or your daughter evaluated, right? So you need to bring them to a psychologist or the child study team at the school, and they have to get evaluated. If they get evaluated, right, then they say, okay, maybe there's something going on here. And you want to make sure that your son or your daughter has the proper accommodations, right, that come with the individualized educational plan, which is an IEP. So in New Jersey, if you send a letter, you can get an attorney, or you can write a letter yourself. Like you could write one for your daughter, and you can fill it out and you can send it into the school. They have to get back to you legally within 20 days to start the process, whether it's an evaluation or just to start the process to see if you're going to qualify for the accommodations.
When your child is struggling, so those are some of the telltale signs of your child with a disability is having a hard time in class and stuff like that.
Yeah, I would say you would see like anxiety. Maybe the grades aren't doing as well. The reading levels may be low. Things that aren't just kind of clicking and they're clicking for everybody else. They're just, maybe it takes them, 4, 5, 6, 7 times to get it right. And then you'll get some frustration because they're frustrated because they're not getting it. and you'll notice some things going on. And then that's when you need to start saying, all right, maybe they're struggling here. We gotta get some support, right? Because they need the support. For an example, you can have a test reader, right? So maybe with their reading comprehension, for me, my reading comprehension is really, really tough for me. So when I read something, I really don't understand it. But if someone reads it to me, I hear it clearer and I can kind of process it better. So I would have test readers, and that really helped me. Or I would have, right? My handwriting's really bad skills, and I can't read my own handwriting. Still to this day. But when I was in school, I would have someone, they would write my notes for me. I would still write my notes, but I would have my notes emailed to me. It was part of my IEP. So, or extra time on a test, or things like that. So you notice things that are going on, then you want to get that support.
So maybe your future job position is a doctor, because I know doctors have horrible handwriting.
I wouldn't trust me as their doctor, but that's what they used to tell me back in the day. I heard doctors are bad handwriting. You're going to be a doctor. I'm like, I don't know. I'd rather be an author. I can type it.
So I just want to clear the air, because some parents may see an IEP as something bad, or some
Right.
parents or some dads may see that their child struggling to learn is not necessarily a bad thing. Struggling to learn, I think, is just sign that your child processes things differently.
Right.
That your child thinks a different way than majority of the kids in their class. And I think some parents have a hard time accepting that, but I think parents should embrace it, because
Right.
It's a different way of thinking. Because
Absolutely.
school's very regiment, right? This math class. This is how you figure out the problem. This is how you get the answer. Whereas that one person says, I got the answer, but not the way you got it.
Right.
Right?
That's right. Yeah. And
So,
a lot of times they think that, they think that, hey, my son's got an IEP, my daughter's got an IEP, my daughter's struggling, right? My son's struggling. I don't think my son's going to have a normal life. Like they worry about that. Like they will never be having this normal life because of how they're struggling in school. And they don't have to worry about it. I don't want anyone to worry about that. That's why I started this, because I believe that the students that are struggling actually have an advantage over the kids that aren't struggling.
right, because they're getting that support system that they need to get them to where they have to be. So,
Right.
and what most parents, I think, don't know is that our school systems, public school systems, are required to provide the support that the child needs. And if that school district cannot provide that support, they have to transport the child to a school district that can provide the support.
Right. They have to. They have to do
Yes.
it, and it's important. Yeah. And they don't mess around with it. They take it pretty serious. So when you have to, when you ask support, and you can send that out there, they will respond. They have a team for that.
Yeah, and
Public
it's
schools
all
are the best for it.
yeah, and it's all about the student. They're looking to get that support. They do an evaluation, I think, every 3 years, and that IEP does carry through up through, I think, college, if I'm not mistaken. Correct?
Yeah. So when you go to college, it actually transfers over to a 504. So a
Okay.
504, it's not a you still get extra time on your test if you need it. So you do have those accommodations. And most colleges, like the smaller colleges, are really equipped with, they have, like where I went, it was called Project Able. And they had a whole facility for students with 504s transitioning to college. So the support carries all the way through.
Awesome. That's amazing, and I think that's important for parents to understand and know. So that's great.
Yeah.
So Jordan,
They should be scared.
no, but I can understand where the fear comes from, is because it could be a bit intimidating when you start seeing all the paperwork and everything you got to go through, and
Right.
when you got to get professional analysis and stuff like that. I can understand where that could come from, but it definitely worth going through. Absolutely, 100%. Do you have any kids, and what are their ages?
Yeah. So I have a 2-year-old named Reese. He's actually going to be 2.5 in August. And he's a wild man, but it's awesome. It's fun. He loves being crazy, but it's just like me when I was younger. But it's the best. I love it.
Apple
It makes
doesn't
it
fall.
makes it work harder. No,
Good.
doesn't fall far. No.
That's great. Should dads seek when getting a child an IEP?
They should definitely. I think the first thing you should do, like as a dad, like for me, just to go back in time, I think that the first thing you should do is you got to accept it, right? Whatever it is, accept it. Accept that they're struggling, and that's okay. And then focus on, more importantly, getting the accommodation is really important. So focus on getting the proper tools and the programs in place for your, and then make sure you focus the same amount of effort on their confidence and their self-belief, because that's really what's going to take the hit, right? They're gonna get the accommodation. They're gonna work hard, but they're gonna struggle, and then they're gonna notice that they're working harder than everybody else, right? And everyone else is not gonna need these accommodations, and that's where their self-esteem is gonna come into play, right? And that's where you want to build them up. You want to continuously build them up, and you want to remind them, of their strengths and their gifts, right? To really uncover your gifts outside of school. So it's kind of like this hard thing that you have to do, and you got to explain that to them, because they won't know what they really can become and do if they don't get through this hard stuff now. And the accommodations have nothing to do with their success of their future, meaning just because they have accommodations, they're not going to be successul.
Right.
But the kids should know, hey, but this is the reason why I'm going to make it, right? And be proud of the accommodations, be proud of that IEP. That's why my shirt says, I'm just here with an IEP. My struggle is my strength, because it's the truth. And I used to think I was like at this disadvantage. And I didn't have like my dad really was always going to work. He wasn't really around like my mom. It was my mom who was really involved. But for dads, I think, to come in and say, hey, listen, your struggle is your strength. You're going to do this. It's empowering, kind of the same way, like old school. He was kind of like, my son doesn't have a problem. He'll grow out of it, and that wasn't the case, and I had my mom like fighting, like that's not true.
Yeah. Old school dads, they're just wired to, you fell down, all right, get up, wash it off and keep going. Dust yourself off and keep going. I noticed that you wear that, you got that necklace all the time.
Oh yeah.
That's a shift
necklace. Yep.
So what is that?
So this shift necklace. So I found this. So last year, Memorial Day, I woke up with like anxiety, right? So I deal with anxiety my whole life, and it comes and goes. So anxiety is really paralyzing, especially if you start letting it kind of take control of your life, and it can get bad. I was feeling like I was stuck, and I haven't felt like that in a while. I'm like, I got to figure this out. And I'm a type of person that likes to do like natural things. Like I like to go for runs. I like to ride my bike. I like to go for walks. Like, I want to be able to beat it like myself. I don't want to, and I know medication is good at some point, right? But I'm like, I got to get to a point where I got to be able to handle this, because I don't want to rely on anything or anybody else. I want to rely on myself. So I started looking online. Like, I need something. I was literally going on YouTube. I couldn't figure out what was going on. I had COVID. I thought maybe COVID triggered this. I couldn't figure it out. I bought this necklace online. It's called the Shift necklace from Kamuzo. I have a bunch of them, actually. I give them away on my subscriber page. I have a contest and I give them away to the kids. And you wear it, and it comes with a little packet, and it helps you breathe. So it's all about breathing through your nose and your mouth, like slowly. But I did use it. I did breathe through it. And then eventually it became like, if I put it on, my anxiety wasn't there. So it was like this mental thing. So if I I never took it off. So I didn't really use it as I was supposed to, but it was just like, I used it a little bit. It got better. I kept it on. So now in the morning, I always put it on, because I'm like, if I don't put it on, maybe I'm going to get anxiety. Even though I probably won't, but I need it,
It's there, right?
So
sure.
It's there. It's there if I need it. And it's.
Well, that's great, man. That became your comfort blanket, It's your security blanket.
It was.
That's
sure.
awesome.
Yeah, so like I encourage you, if you have anxiety, check them out. You can get them online, and they really do help. If you like meditation and breathing, and just another tool.
I know a couple of friends with some high anxiety. I gotta suggest that to them.
Yeah.
So, how has becoming a father changed your life, and what has it taught you?
So becoming a father was the coolest thing ever. Just seeing like your son, like your daughter, like just seeing like another human. I was like, oh my God. And I think what it did for me, it was like, all right, Jordan, you better get to work here. You got a whole nother human to take care of, and they're completely relying on you. I think what it did is it put me, so like, I was kind of like a one man kind of, my wife was a nurse. I was an advisor. This whole COVID thing happened. And then when my son was born, it was like, all right, it's just me. My wife's probably not going back to work right now. And I gotta make this happen. And it forced me to like get to another level of my life. And that was the coolest part about being a dad, because I said, all right, if I could be I know I could be like the hardest worker, right? I can work really hard, but I want to be able to work really hard and be like the best dad too at the same time. And it was a hard thing to balance. I was always on the road. I would leave at 9, come home at 9 at night, every night, out there doing my thing as an advisor.
Wow.
But then when COVID came, I would be like, all right, I'll be making calls, doing things virtually, changing my son's diaper, getting like, being around more. So I started to become like this, like I had like my ear pods in, I was talking to clients, taking care of my son. I learned how to like balance my life, but then I learned how like I had like this like, oh, it's an emergency. 20 when my son was born. I mean, I changed my whole business side of my life and really grew. If I didn't have my son, I don't think I would have had the courage to go for it, or maybe the motivation, to kind of say, hey, risk it all because it's gonna be worth it. I had no
Sure.
choice.
Yeah. So your son was that fire.
He was the fire. Yeah, he was it.
Yeah.
I owe it to him, so then I can leave it to him one day.
That's awesome. So Rob and I always talk about COVID being a blessing and a curse.
Right.
It was a curse, obviously, because lots of people died, and our thoughts and prayers are with them. But also, it was a blessing because my entire family, me, my 3 daughters, my wife, my mother-in-law, we spent all that time together, 24 hours a day in the same house. If it wasn't for COVID, I don't think the bond that my daughters built together or formed together, I don't think it would have ever been there.
Right.
Because
right,
it was nonstop. It was us and our kids, and it was great.
It was. You're right.
And it was
a
great.
blessing. It was cool. It was scary, but it was like you said, it was a blessing, but it was also like it was a very sad time. But it was
So, what challenges have you faced raising Reese?
the biggest.
I know he's only
raising
2.
Reese, he's only 2, but I think the biggest thing for me is like, all right, when I'm with my son, right, I have to take my brain and say, all right, Jordan, I can't be thinking about my real estate. I can't be thinking about being an advisor. I can't be thinking about my social media. I gotta be with my son 100%. So I think for me, just dealing with ADHD, my brain is always all over the place, and it's not that fun to be inside my head because I can't stop, and it's hard. And it's hard for me. Like I really sometimes like tonight, maybe I'll get on my bike. I'll just ride my bike. My earphones in the dark. Just I want to be able to be present with my son and my wife at the same time. And then I want to be able to like, all right, Jordan, now it's game time. Now it's time back to work, So like that's the hardest thing for me still. And I'm working on it. But it's taught me to, I wouldn't say I have a balanced life, but it's taught me to like slow down, and like just be slow.
Yeah, enjoying the moment.
Enjoying it.
I have 3 kids, and my oldest is 13, and it goes by in a blink of an eye, man. It enjoy those moments. But that's huge, where you can acknowledge that, okay, I'm starting to drift, but I'm here with my son, and I need to focus, and I need to be here with my son. I can't focus on what else is going on. I'm here. It's me and my son, or it's me and my wife, or me and the dogs. We're just hanging, and this is it's us. It's me time. It's us time. But that's huge, man. Some people can't do that.
It's huge and it's hard. Like sometimes I'll come home late. Like the other night, I came home at like 12 o'clock and he was sleeping. Like, and I lay in bed. Like I feel bad. Like I almost feel like guilty. I'm like, and I'm like doing all these other things for all these other kids, right? And I'm like, I'm going out there, and then I feel like I got my own kid. Like he needs me too. So like, but it's hard because I want to be like everywhere,
So just you touched on it before. Here's the next question. One of the challenges we face as dads is the work-life balance. How have you been able to effectively balance your time and work with the family? So that's, that is the biggest, I'm going to say being a dad, that is the biggest challenge.
Let me go 100%. I'll figure it out. Right. And then I promise you there's going to be a time where I'm going to be back, like in this, where I'll be back, I always tell her that, but then she's like, Jordan, you've been saying this for 10 years, because I always have something new that I'm doing. And when I tell you, Sal, I'm completely out of my mind. Like I'm up at 4 a.m. and I'm out of my mind, and it's not easy. So, but it's hard, and I acknowledge that it's hard, and especially for what I start doing for everybody. But I really like in the mornings, for example, Sal, I go to the gym, I come home, And then like what I always make sure I try to have breakfast with Reese. So like I make him breakfast. We eat breakfast together. We watch some shows. He sits on my lap. We hang out. We always make hard-boiled eggs, and I show him how to peel them. And like we do that. Like my wife will do her own thing, and then that's like from like 7 to, and then I try to pick little times in the middle of the day while I'm running around going crazy. And like if I can, I'll take him to the pool for like 4 hours, come home, then I'll go back to work. I try to do it, but it's been a challenge. But I've been trying to pick pockets in my day where I just put my phone in my shoe and I forget it.
You have to, man. The electronics is the worst. But that's awesome, man. It's that dedication and it's that drive. 4:00 in the morning. I used to get up at 4:30, so that's early for a lot of people.
It's early. You know that feeling. 4:30 is a different feeling than 5:00. That extra 5 hours is big.
It's huge. It's freaking huge.
It's huge. At like 6 o'clock, you're feeling it.
Yes, absolutely. So, as I mentioned in the intro, you're the author of the book, I'm Just a Kid with an IEP. How difficult was it for you to write that book? How long did it take you?
And I just couldn't start. Like I just couldn't start. So then I was like, you know what? I'm going to start. So I get up early, and when I used to go to therapists back in the day, they used to say Jordan works really well in the morning, right? I remember my mom telling me that. So all my classes that was in the morning, I was really focused. And as the day went on, I was not focused. So I said, all right, before I go to the gym, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to write a paragraph or 2 sentences or whatever, right? So I would wake up every day, I just wrote like paragraph, whatever I had. And I did that for 2 years straight. And then after I wrote it, like my spelling's very bad. My grammar is not good. Like I write run-on sentences. I never know where to put periods, commas. I have no idea. I just keep writing and there's nothing in there, right? So I'm like, oh my God, now I got this whole book I wrote and I don't even know if this makes any sense, right? But I didn't want a ghostwriter, because most people write books, they have ghostwriters. So they sit there
right.
and like you'll be writing and I would tell you the story, write it the way I wanted to write it. And because I wanted to make sure that every kid can relate to it. So like if you ever read it or your daughter reads it, like she'll relate to it. She'll know exactly what I'm saying because I know exactly what anyone's going through with an IEP in school and middle school and high school. So I wrote it perfectly that way, but it was really hard to get the words, from my brain to the paper, but it was worth it. I got it done and it was worth it.
That's great, man.
Done.
The book is proof that you worked through it and you fought through all the challenges. That's amazing. That's tremendous.
Yeah, that's it.
So now on to our Rad Dad's rapid fire round. So
right.
First question is favorite book.
I'd say the one I wrote.
That's
my own book.
Favorite food.
Favorite food. I like a nice filet mignon.
Favorite sports team.
Favorite sports team. So I'm not a huge sports guy, but I used to wrestle, so I like college wrestling, and I'm a Rutgers college wrestling fan. I would say that's my favorite team.
No WWE.
No WWE. That was when I was a kid. I still like that, but that was my first love.
Me too. Favorite dad moment.
Favorite dad moment. I think that my favorite dad moment is probably the first time I saw Reese walk right in front of me. It was pretty cool.
Here's all dad stumper. Best dad joke.
Best dad joke. So the best dad joke I'd say is, you know what? I don't know. Best dad joke. I don't know if I have a joke.
Oh, good. Like I said, that's the stumper. That's the stumper. So, before we go, can you tell all our listeners, one, where they can find your book and all your social media outlets?
Yeah, so you can find my book on Amazon, or you could just search on Google, I'm Just a Kid with an IEP book, and it's all over the place, all over online. You can find me on TikTok, I'm Just a Kid with an IEP. Facebook is I'm Just a Kid with an IEP LLC, and then Instagram is, you can just type my name, Jordan Toma, JordanToma. If you live within 2 hours right now, I'm driving to you and I'm delivering the book to your house. So that's
awesome.
The mission I'm on right now.
That's huge. Guys, if you haven't seen them yet, go check them out on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Watch some of his inspirational videos. Watch them with your kids. They're just amazing. An amazing message. Definitely pick up his book. We're going to have all this information in the notes of the show. So one last question, because we ask all dads. If you can impart a word of wisdom to other fathers, what would it be?
I would say to other fathers, I would say, you know, I would say if you're a new father, I would say don't worry. I believe every father when they have their child, they rise to the occasion. I think you're stronger and more powerful than you even have any idea. I would say don't worry. Everything will work out. Your child will put your mind in the right spot where you rise to the occasion.
Awesome. Jordan, it was a pleasure meeting you. Thanks for coming on.
Likewise.
I hope we can do this again in the future. Maybe talk about some of your other businesses.
Yeah, for sure. I love it.
But Jordan Toma, author of "I'm Just a Kid with an IEP," go check it out on Amazon. Buy the book on Amazon. Go look him up on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. I did miss one. Facebook. Jordan, thank you very much. It was a pleasure having you on.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.